Victor Antonio, what is happening?
All is happening, Ed. How you doing today?
I'm all right. You know me with this new group. I'm a little nervous, you know. So
they seem like a nice group.
They look really nice.
They look really good.
They got their cameras on. So how we work this, we'll get going here in a minute. We'll explain what we do. But first things first, we are going to give away $500. All you got to do in the chat is pick the winner of the Super Bowl.
Chat.
And your point. So get in the chat.
Point total.
Winner of the game. And the total points that we'll use as a tiebreaker. And we got anybody playing in there yet?
Yeah, we got two.
Oh, Victor, we got spies in here.
Yeah, Clark P.
We got Lillian. She got that AI.
She read the AI.
We're being recorded. This is not good. Lillian, stop that. I'm just
Yeah.
teasing. So, yeah, just get in there, get in the chat, post that in there, and then we will.
And by the way, if you don't watch any sports, just look at some of the teams, pick the most popular one, pick an average score, and just plop it in there anyway.
Or pick your favorite animal. You can pick a Bronco. You can pick a Seahawk. You could pick a Ram, or if you're a Patriot, maybe you pick a Patriot.
I'm going to pick a Patriot.
Are you? You're going to be Patriots?
Yeah.
How many points?
I'm going to go 36.
That's okay, because you can't win anyway.
Yeah,
only these folks can win.
36.
We'll give away 300 for first, 200 for second, and 100 for third. And we'll have a little bit of fun with that. We're down to 4 teams. We got another weekend of games here to figure out who's going to play. And
Eagles, Seahawks, okay.
that way they will have some interest.
Okay.
I figured this would be heavily weighted to the Rams.
All right, Clark
Seahawks.
P's with me on the Patriots, 36.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, wow.
Good man. Steven says, yeah, a lot of Patriots. Kerry Campbell says Seahawks. Patriots.
I thought this.
Now, you guys don't know Ed, but the fact that he's actually giving up money, rare. Very rare.
I got a new boss, and he doesn't know. So Stanford Phillips and Jerry Galoff kind of give me this gig, and they don't know that I'm doing this. So, you know, that what do they say? Forgiveness instead of permission?
Never ask for permission.
So we'll see. We're going to give away more money, too, so you'll see that here coming. We should tell them who we are. You want to go first?
No, you go first.
I'll go first.
You're more important.
All right. No, I'm not more important. So, Matt, come over here. I'm Ed Donahue. I have spent the last 42 years of my life selling business for Orkin Pest Control. I started out as a termite salesman in 1983, and by looking at the faces on this screen, there's a bunch of you cats that weren't even born yet, and I'm okay with that. My career is simply this, sales. I was in direct production sales as a termite salesman residentially for about 13 years, and then I moved to account manager like a lot of you folks on this call are doing. I did that for about the next 4 years, and then after that, I have moved into sales management, sales leadership. Never ran a branch, never ran an operation, have no idea how to read a P&L. All I'm doing is just trying to empty my tank my last year here. I retired from Orkin in December, and I got so intrigued by Jerry Galoff's message at last year's leadership meeting that I simply went to him. They'd already been working through my retirement and getting out of Dodge plan. And I went to him and I said, I think I want to hang around one more year to see if I can help in only one more year. And I said, I'd like to work for you. And I said, what do you want me to do? He said, go over there and see if you can show a little love to the brands. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to flat empty this tank. And part of that is doing this broadcast with this guy. So tell him who you are.
All right. Victor Antonio. My background is I started engineering, eventually went into sales because I like making money. President sales and marketing, $420 million company. Eventually decided to go on my own. So I've written 18 books on sales, leadership, and motivation. Ed found me like 13 years ago. We've been working together ever since.
Yep.
And so I have a podcast called the Sales Influence Podcast. You should check it out. And also a YouTube channel by the same name. Great content on there, and that is who I am. And we're all about how do people make buying decisions and how do you position the value of a product without pressuring people into buying. That's kind of the angle I always go for. Ed?
Yeah, and so just a little bit of background on Victor. So I was running the Atlantic division, the northeast part of Orkin for sales for probably 7 or 8 years, and I realized that my message was getting stale. You know, here comes Ed, he's going to talk about this, and this. You know, I was that proverbial broken record. So what I did is I just went out, and you'll find out as you get to know me over this next year, I watch no TV, I spend a lot of time on YouTube. I went out to YouTube and just put in, literally in Google and YouTube, and put in sales gurus. And believe it or not, this cat popped up. I watched a few of his videos, and I was intrigued by what he was doing. So I sent him a DM, and I found out that he was right up the road here in Atlanta. And we connected at that point in time. And he's been working with the Orkin team for the last 13 years. We have been doing broadcasts just like this for the past 4 years, coming to you monthly. And that's what's going to happen here. We're going to just come to you. We're going to share some ideas, a little bit of a format of the class itself, or not the class, but the broadcast. Open it up with a chat. We're going to share some company-wide numbers. We are going to then basically share some individual production numbers, where we're going to recognize the folks that have done really well. For this broadcast, we've gone back and, Victor, it was like herding cats to get numbers. From these companies. Like I didn't know who to go. I don't even know who the leaders are, right?
Okay.
But we're starting to figure all that out.
Okay.
So by hook or by crook, even to the fact that like 2 days ago we got the last update. So we will share the top producers in each brand for 2025.
Yep.
The top 10 or the top 5, and we'll share that with them.
Yep.
Then we will do what we think is some viable content that makes some sense. We'll spend about 15 minutes kicking around that content. We will do some housekeeping, and we will get on out of Dodge, right?
Yep, that's it.
So that's it.
By the way, numbers, content, housekeeping, bye-bye.
You do that really well. And we did this. We did one this morning, obviously at 8:30, and we did this same broadcast for the residential folks on Monday. We did two there. So we'll continue to do that. Just if you want to mark your calendars, this commercial broadcast next month is going to be, we just worked it out. What did we say?
It's either 13th
I
or
wrote
the
it
20th.
down. It's going to be the 20th. So it's going to be February 20th. Mark your calendars. There'll be some invites that come out from your bosses. But how about our get-up? So this is going to be just a blatant plug. We need clothes. Like, you know, I woke up for 42 years and put the Orkin uniform on with the tie, and we got clothes.
Jeff finally gave it. Was it Jeff?
Jeff Dunn finally got me the
me.
Northwest thing
there
that
you go.
fits.
There you go. So.
And I was up in Pittsburgh last week, visited the Fox branch, and scored this Fox shirt. Yes, if you watched the original broadcast, the residential one on Monday, it's the same shirt. Yeah. I washed it out in my hotel room and hung it up for like 3 days. Believe it takes a long time for stuff to dry hanging in a hotel room. So, and I had to iron it this morning. It was a struggle. So we are blatantly asking for gear, right? So I see a whole bunch of Clark and I love the Clark colors.
I want the WOW. What does the WOW look like? I want the iWow shirt.
The iWow?
Come on, man.
The iWow.
I
want some Clark stuff. So we prefer quarter zips. Any one of the brands, if you want us to rep your stuff, I would love some Orkin Canada stuff as well. We are just begging and pleading for gear that we can wear.
I feel like we're homeless. We need clothes.
Just fill out our wardrobe. So again, 2XL for me, large for Victor, and I'm trying to work my way into a extra large, but for now, 2XL. We'll see what we can do there. So that's our blatant plug. What else should we talk about?
By the way, I mean, just recognize some of the folks out here. Let me see. We got Frank Giannico is over there enjoying his cup of coffee.
I had a lot of communication with Frank.
Frank, I always have issues with people who always show me their fan above their head. Man, I have an issue with
the helicopter
that. Dude,
head.
Tilt that thing down. Yeah,
you got that helicopter head.
Man. Come on.
Nice.
There you go, my man. Who else we got?
If you haven't figured out how to switch your iPad over, your ID over, you got to do that.
Clouder. That's a cool name, Walt Clouder.
I like that.
I wonder where he's from. Walt, where you from?
Yeah, put it in the chat.
Where you from, man? You got Troy next to you, Burke looking real
Todd
serious.
Kraft looks completely disinterested. Todd, are you with us?
No.
He's got that little side. Oh, there's a little. He gave us a little side angle there. Awesome.
I can't read her last name, but it's Tammy Doust. Am I close, Tammy?
Tammy's smiling. I like Tammy.
Tammy's in the game.
Frank's standing up. Frank's ready to go, man. He's like getting ready to go in the ring, man. Look at him.
Travis Mickle doesn't want to be here. I just don't believe he wants to be here. He's just like, screw these guys. I don't have time for this stuff. Andre.
He's smiling now.
Andre Nass. That sounds like a race car driver. Andre Nass.
Let's get going.
Let's do this thing.
Somebody get this man a brand. There you go, Matt.
All right. All right.
So again,
let's do numbers, man.
Let's do some numbers. This has been very interesting for me. So I tried to gather sales numbers for all of the brands, the U.S. brands, and I thought this was going to be a simple exercise. So I call up Julie Bimmerman, who's supposed to pull all these numbers together for the brands. And
Julie Bimmerman.
Julie Bimmerman. Yeah, I got a bone to pick with Julie Bimmerman. She's retiring too next year in December, so we're going out together. Okay. But she tells me, she said, Ed, all the brands really don't have sales plans and sales to last year, because some of them are relatively new. Okay. You know, the Sailor folks are certainly brand new to us. Right. So she couldn't give me any sales numbers. Okay. Because what I wanted to share with you is how the Rollins brands did together. You know, sales to last year, right, and sales to plan. But those numbers, they don't exist yet, but I've been told by the sales leaders this week that those are all going to happen. I had a chance this week to spend an awful lot of time with the brands. All the big cheeses were here in Atlanta, and I got to hang out there and I got my indoctrination or my immersion into the brand. So I got to hang out. I got to have dinner with the iWow folks. Got to attend a Northwest meeting. I'm getting your calendar, so I'll be very.
Who did you say was your favorite group? You were telling me you had a favorite group.
And he always tries to do this. He always tries to get me in trouble. He's full of crap.
Did you?
I never said anything. We never had this conversation at all before. And he always asks me questions in these broadcasts. You'll find out that we've never prepped or never even talked about. But we're going to stop that kind of crap.
Yep.
And I'm going to share with you the only thing I could get for you for the year end December 25, and that's revenue numbers. So here we go on some revenue numbers for the Rollins U.S. brands.
Yeah.
This does not include Canada. So when you add Canada, these numbers, we're going to get that.
Why
all
don't we
together,
include?
too.
Do we not like Canada anymore?
No, I love Canada.
Oh, I just want to make sure. We're going to include them, right? We're going to include Canada.
I love that whole group. Rob Quinn's going to come get you.
Yeah. All right, let's do it.
So here's your residential pest control revenue numbers for 2025, which were crazy across the Rollins brands. $863 million, Victor, in revenue. That correlates. They were able to tell me what the increase was.
Wow.
That's a 15% increase over last year.
Wow.
In revenue. Big, just monster. The commercial pest, which most of the folks on this call, this is our commercial dedicated one. The commercial revenues with the Rollins U.S. brands, $281 million. I mean, just staggering. That's an 11.1% increase.
Nice. Very
Again,
nice.
that double-digit theme that just continues to hang around at Rollins and Orkin. This company's killing it. I'll just leave it at that. And then termite revenues of $274 million across the U.S. brands, Rollins U.S. brands, up 20%. So we talk all the time about double-digit increases and how they don't really happen everywhere.
No.
You meet with tons. You're not. We're not.
I'm not married to Orkin.
Yes, you're not. Yeah,
right.
and he's not an employee. I pay him to be here, and it's amazing for some of the abuse he gives me.
Yeah, there you go. So one of the things that I always talk about, I do speak to a lot of different companies across different industries, and so what I've seen consistently with Orkin is this double-digit increase, and you don't see this a lot. A lot of companies are happy to stay flat or maybe grow 2 or 3%. You guys are just doing some crazy numbers here.
Yeah, and I've had insight into the brands for probably the last 7 or 8 years when the DPs come down here and do their quarterly presentations. You cats are growing bigger and faster than Orkin right now, which is so exciting.
Are they?
And they're all new, and it's just a bunch of fun.
Well done. Well
we
done.
know that he said Iowa was his favorite. Look at Perone out there.
Yeah.
I know Perone. Yeah. I never said that. I did go to dinner with Pat last night, and those Iowa folks, they know how to eat. I'll just leave it at that. So I'm looking forward to getting out and around into all the regions and all the kickoff meetings, and I'll be very visible. There will be really 3 things that come out of me.
Yep.
You'll get these broadcasts as we move forward. I will begin February 1st, starting with a nightly message with the Orkin team. I send a nightly message to my team every night, at least 4 to 5 nights of every week. A nightly message with stuff that's in there that hopefully the Orkin team found value in it, and I'll start that back up. And then what I have is I have a YouTube channel, not as good as Victor's, but I have a YouTube channel with about 200 pieces of content outside the firewall that you can see public, and I have another 150 behind it. But what I have is I have short ed talks in there. These ed talks are 5 to 7 minutes about specific topics. And what I'm doing right now, I've told Jerry Galoff that I will produce 100 of these. I will redo a bunch of them that are already in there. I have recently posted 5 brand new ones that we did, all brand agnostic, so that we can use them across the whole Rollins enterprise.
Nice.
And they're just quick hitters to get you picked up, and you guys can spread around. So.
Great content.
Yeah.
Great content.
And just 42 years of street hustling. That's all.
There you go.
But yeah, and I can't talk about profit numbers because we haven't not released our earnings. I do not want to go to jail. I'd get in trouble for that. But just suffice to say, your company had a really good year. And if you look at our stock, right? Let me just talk a minute about that. You look at the stock that this company, the Rollins stock, and I assume all the brands are in it with the 401k now. Our company stock is up over $63 yesterday. I always cringe when I say something about the stock because every time I say something, it tends to take a dip.
Yep.
But I mean, the stock is up. Ken Krause did a presentation at the leadership meeting this week with all the region managers in there, where he compared our stock performance over 25 years and over the last year to the S&P. And everybody talks about getting an S&P fund, and it's just staggering how we've outperformed it. They were all in stock last year, turned in 28%. Over 25 years, Victor.
Wow. It's
averaged 18% growth. So it's way better than most stocks that are out there.
Yep.
It's outperformed the S&P.
That's
And what I would encourage you to do, if you're in the 401k, get it at least. Do as I say, not as I did as a young guy trying to raise a family of 4, a family of 6, really. Do as I say, not as I did. Get in there and get to that 6% match as quick as you can. I think they put you in at 3 when you hire on here, but as soon as you can get that to 6, please get that to 6. That match is miraculous. I'll give you the story about an Orkin account manager that I know very well. I hired him. I brought him up. I brought him up as a baby. He's been here for 25. He's been here for 25 years. He's 51 years old, and this man today has over $1 million in his 401k, and he's an account manager. He does fairly well. You know, he goes to President's Club quite a bit, so he's a big hitter. But at the same time, he's sitting there today at 51 years old. And how many 51-year-olds are out there with $1 million in their 401k?
Well done.
And it's really the performance of the stock.
Yeah.
You know, inside there, right? You know, you got your other investments, but when you get that match, you know, this
Match
25
is
years
easy.
ago, this stock was $6.
Wow.
Not
Wow.
63.
Wow.
So
I
get
was
in.
here when it was like $3.
I was here then, Victor. so again, just phenomenal numbers. And what we're going to do now, what we're going to do next is this is going to be something that's going to happen every month. These will be monthly numbers moving forward, but we will recognize by brand the top individual performers. And we, you know, the 10 or top 5 or whatever I got from the leaders. This was like pulling teeth as well. So we're going to get this ironed out. You know, herding cats.
Dear Julie.
No, what? This wasn't Julie. This is me trying to figure out who I should go to get these numbers.
Okay.
But we did get our last update on Thursday, so we think these are accurate.
All right.
If you dispute these numbers as they scroll here, take it up with your boss or take it up with Julie.
Okay.
I just put on paper. I had the team here put on paper the leaders. I would encourage you as this leaderboard to use that chat to shout out some of your people, particularly you sales managers. As you see it, it's going to go pretty quick. After it scrolls through, Matt is then going to post the individual brand slides so you can see that and take pictures of that. And this broadcast and all of these broadcasts will end up on my YouTube channel. So if you get your name in lights and you want to show it to the kids at home and the family, you can do a little bragging. So should we roll the video?
Numbers.
Rock'em, sock'em,
There's
robots.
some great numbers
Come on,
in there.
man.
There's some good numbers.
Starting out with Oh Canada.
Oh, Canada.
6 folks over $1 million. Come on,
Holy
man.
buckets. You got
Look at
Shilpa, Granger, Oob.
Nice. I've met a couple of those guys.
Did you?
Yeah.
I like Brian Sankey.
I've met
like-
Selsky at President's
Did
Club.
you?
Stepan or Stephen
job,
Abe.
Canada.
I've met him a bunch of times. Just
Nice numbers.
crazy. Again, all across Canada, right? We always talked at the Orkin. It doesn't matter where you're at. It's always the land. It's never the man or the woman. I mean, all the way from British Columbia to Ontario and Calgary. Some of those
Nice.
places are pretty far
Wow.
out there. I had a chance,
Amazing.
you Canada folks, to hang out with your sales leader. That girl's crazy, that Rena, but I'll just leave it at that. You already
Okay.
probably know that. Look at the IWOW team.
IWOW, folks. Yep.
Steve Romero. Steve Romero's got an interesting job. He's
1.6.
yeah, he works for IFC,
Animal.
and he sells these big fumigations. So
What an
honestly,
animal.
just killing it. Then Waltham blowing it out. Western,
Yep.
you know, all those folks out on there getting after it. Y'all didn't do a very good job of shouting out your pro or your peers in the chat. Mick, we'll get better next time. But you see those being scrolled up there now. So if you want to take a
Yep.
picture of that and share it.
Show some love. Show some
Yeah.
love.
Then the Fox team. The Fox numbers are a little different in the fact that they're relatively new to commercial.
Okay.
You know, when John Sutton, I got those numbers from John Sutton. He said, make sure you tell him that we haven't been doing this for a full year.
Okay.
Which is
All
really
right.
cool. And the same thing with Sailor, right?
Okay.
They're relatively new into the commercial
Up
space.
and comers. The up and comers.
Up and comers,
All
but just great leadership there.
Got
You know, you had Matt DeMaio. Again, look at the Fox groups: Connecticut, Rhode Island, Harrisburg, PA, New Hampshire, and then Sailor's got a wife, Denver.
Yep.
Seattle. I mean, just crazy. Then you go to Clark. We got a lot of Clark folks on the call here, obviously. They're all from California.
California.
Yeah, I mean, look at those numbers.
I think we spelled Richard's name wrong. Richard Zamora.
Did we?
Yeah, I think we did. But Richard,
oh, yeah.
you are acknowledged, man.
Maybe they corrected it in the video.
Yeah.
I don't do the video, so
Yep.
I send the list. So
Great
that was my
numbers, though.
fault.
Almost, let me see.
I'm going to blame it on
Scott.
their leader. Who else?
Scott.
Northwest. Whew, Jerry Hall.
Yep.
1.4. I know Jerry. I've met him a bunch of times.
Let's call that 1.5. I mean, that's big. That's
Yeah.
a huge number there.
Jerry does a lot of work, and if you haven't tipped your toe into it yet, he does a lot of work at the Jacksonville Air Base.
Yep.
Does a ton of work down there with them. And
Hey, are they getting any money? Like the top earners here? Are you giving away any money?
so first off, number one, you need to quit spending my wallet.
All right.
There's no money for 2025 because I had no grace or no say over it. Take that up with somebody else. But moving forward, if you make this list, you will be the recipient of a $100 Amazon gift card. So I'll be giving away probably $5,000 every
But
month.
if you're like the top number one, don't you give more?
No. Victor, quit giving away my money.
Just saying, you gotta be a little
I
more
got a bunch.
generous here.
I got new bosses. Again,
Yeah. Just don't tell them. Just
but
between
I have
us.
to send an expense report in because I buy those
All right.
Amazon cards and send them
All
to
right,
you.
all right.
So leave me
tried.
alone, will you?
I tried. I tried.
Anything else? Any other
No,
comments?
let me see. I'm looking at the light. Guillermo Padilla, you better smile soon, man, because you're making me nervous on this side of the screen.
Guillermo, put in the chat if you
Yeah.
were an Orkin guy at one time. I think I know you, man.
By the way, I just want to say this name, C.J. Nakamura.
Nice.
Dude, I said, love that. Nakamura.
Okay, hey, Guillermo, how are you, man? I know you.
Yeah.
I know that cat.
Yeah.
I
Do
know
you?
him.
Do
Yeah, he was a great
do you know-
salesman
how do
at
you know
Orkin.
Guillermo?
What I find out here
Yeah.
is I think that these brands. I told Jamie Holyoke from Fox yesterday when I met him. I said I think you cats have figured out this portal before the college football scene did.
Right.
Because I was on their call last week.
Yeah.
And I see all these old man. That's where that guy went. That's where that
Okay.
girl went. Like
Okay.
really good people.
They went
so,
to-
yeah.
okay.
They came. They raided Orkin into the
So
portal.
was Guillermo any good?
Yeah, he was really good. He was really good.
I just asked.
He's smiling. He's got a beard now.
He's like-
he wasn't allowed to have that beard when he was
What's
at
up,
Orkin.
Victor? Come on, man. Yeah, I got you. All right.
And I'm not growing a beard.
right.
A couple people on the residential broadcast asked if I was going to start growing a beard now that I was no longer an Orkin man.
Yeah.
I would love to, but I can't. If I grew a beard, it'd be like I was a leper. Patches here, patches there. I've tried that at one time. But so we're going to jump into some content because I think we've overstayed our welcome
Yeah,
already.
let's go.
Two things in the content today. This will be a little bit longer than most of these broadcasts will be moving forward. They'll typically be about 30 to 35 minutes. We had to set the thing up and tell you what we're going to do. But in today's broadcast, we're going to just do a brief introduction. You are all going to get, as soon as I figure out all the email addresses of everybody and get that figured out sometime next week, you're all going to get access to Victor's Sales Velocity Academy. It's kind of his sales learning online tool that has all kinds of stuff. I'll let him talk about it, but I will spike it with this. Jeb Blunt's site, Grant Cardone's site, I don't know, a whole bunch of other sites all have Victor's stuff baked into it. Victor gets a check from both of those cats for the content that people purchase off their site of Victor's stuff.
They're
So,
very generous.
yeah, and you're going to get it free.
Yep.
You're going to get it free. You're going to get a free subscription to that, and we'll explore more of that. But just tell a little bit of introduction to the Academy,
Okay.
and then we'll talk about what we're going to jump into.
So the Sales Velocity Academy has about 800 videos, 800 videos, somewhere in there. And so you're going to get access to it. What we're going to do is grab your emails, and then we're going to upload them, and then you're going to receive a login notification where all you have to do is create a password, and boom, you get access in there. And it's kind of cool. It's broken up into 7 different categories, from prospecting to product IQ to presentations, and again, persuasion, how to close more deals. So we're going to give you access to all that information. And then what we're going to do is that as we bring these broadcasts to you once a month, we're going to try to maybe pluck a piece of content from one of those courses and kind of share that with you.
Yeah, and that's the whole message here. And what we're going to do, we're going to tip our toe into it just a bit. We're going to talk about one section of that that's called Client Says. I saw somebody just post. I love this. Just post the Jeremy Miner site, right?
Yeah.
So this content we're going to share right now. Jeremy Miner started sharing 2 years ago. Victor's been sharing it with Orkin for the last 8 years. So I'm not saying you originated this.
I like Jeremy.
Yeah,
I like
he's a
Jeremy.
great guy, and I like his stuff too.
Nice guy. I like them all.
Yeah, they're all good.
I'm very diplomatic. I like them all.
Yeah,
I like
good
them
shit.
all.
But
Yeah, everybody has something to offer, so yes.
100%. And you'll find out that I'm a consummate consumer of content. I don't watch TV. I don't do any of that stuff, but you'll figure that out as we get to know each other moving forward. But this one is, client says, and the one I want to dial in on is this dreaded one that always comes up.
Wait. Let's ask them. What do you think is the
No,
biggest
don't ask him
objection?
that. Don't ask him that. I don't want you to ask him that.
No?
No.
Why?
No, because I don't want you to ask him that.
Okay, go ahead.
We're going to get here.
Okay.
So I've ridden with more salespeople than pest control salespeople than probably anybody walking the planet. The first 2 appointments, even when I was the VP of sales, even in December, my last month in it, the first 2 appointments I put on my calendar was a ride along with the residential salesperson and a ride along with the commercial salesperson. And I'm not talking about 1 hour or 2 hours or 1 appointment. I'm talking all day. I had to make sure I kept my axe sharp, right? I mean, make sure I stayed in the game. I have a son-in-law that does this for a living. I already told you about a very dear friend of mine that does this commercially. My son-in-law does it residentially for us. I keep my ear on the track. And I think what's most important about that is that we focus on what makes sense. And I would tell you, in all my time of riding with salespeople, the one I see, maybe not bungled or bumbled, but the one that folks struggle with that creates doubt in the customer's mind is when that customer says at the end of the day, you know, at the end of your presentation, particularly in commercial space, right? When they say they want to think about it. And I've seen that the reaction to that oftentimes is crazy, right? I mean, if I could write a book on just what people have said, salespeople have said when they've heard that. Number one, oftentimes the initial reaction is to get defensive, right? So just think about it. You've just killed it. You've just done everything perfect. You've presented, you know, you're like, man, I just clocked that, man. They're going to sign on that line, on that iPad that's dotted. But I see when they get that, they just get wrapped around the axle, and they panic, and sometimes they even attack. Like, what do you want to think about? Is there something I missed? Come on. If you missed something, you should have known that yourself. Or they just get that defensive, and then in my mind, they start fishing. You know, they just start fishing. What is it? Was it this? Was it that? Was it this? And oftentimes, I think in the back of their mind, when someone says, I want to think about it, the initial reaction of a lot of salespeople, some of these superstars don't feel that way, is that, oh, it's got to be the price. Now, ultimately, it may be the price that they want to think about, but we'll talk about that as some future broadcasts. But there's a sales track that Victor has that walks you through when the customer says, I want to think about it. And I'm going to turn it over to you to spin this track, and then we'll have a bunch of discussion about it, particularly with the commercial salesperson, because they hear this a lot.
Now think about it as one of those, I'll call them momentum killers. Have you ever been in that conversation where everything's gone well, the presentation's gone well, the walkthrough's gone well, discussion's gone well, and then we get to let me think about it. And at that point, you can almost like an airplane hitting some turbulence. It gets all wobbly. You know, like customer says, let me think about it, and you're like, oh, okay, what do you need to think about, or what can I help you think about? What did I miss? And it gets very uncomfortable, and the customer feels that. Now, what I want to do is give you a talk track that you're going to be able to modify and adjust. And I am telling you, this talk track will keep the wind speed landing smooth. So let's go to the slide. Let's say the customer says, let me think about it. And let's say I'm selling to my friend Ed here, right? And when Ed says, let me think about it, I respond this way. Ed, when someone tells me they have to think about it, it's usually because they're not interested or, pause, they're interested but not sure. Which one is it? Now, the genius behind this subtle tactic is that I'm not asking them to say, what do you have to think about? I'm going binary. I'm going to take them down the decision tree. By going binary, I'm saying either you're not interested or you're interested but not sure. The brain is good at making a binary decision. If you tell somebody, respond by saying, well, what do you need to think about it? Their head is swirling like a snow globe with all these different things. So what we need to do is funnel them through this decision-making process. It begins at a high level with interested or not interested. Which one is it? Ed, what would you say?
Yeah, and I think just think about that simple thing right there, and just take it out of sales, and just, you know, my wife and I love my bride of 42 years to death, but, you know, trying to pick where we're going to dinner is a nightmare. So Victor has taught me to ask my wife, hey, baby girl, I'm thinking Chinese or Mexican. Which one do you want to do? Instead of saying, what do you want to do for dinner? If I say, what do you want to do for dinner, it's a nightmare, and sometimes we just end up staying home.
Perfect example.
Right? So, I mean, just think about it outside of sales, just Mexican or Chinese.
Right.
So now she has two choices. She's got to pick one.
Right.
Or she has to offer up another option.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
all the pressure's off me. I mean, I used to get so frustrated when we started talking about this. I'm on the road all the time. I don't care where we eat. You know,
You just want to do something.
Those are We've had arguments and fights over where we're going to go eat.
I'm sure you're not alone, by the way. I'm sure you're not alone. Yeah.
So keep it down this path, because what you do here is you force them to give
make
you
a decision.
Yeah.
So now what's interesting is that let's go with the least probable response, which is not interested, right? You're going to get that once in a great while, very low probability, but you're going to get that. And at that point, the suggestion is to simply stop selling and figure out what's going on. Mr. Customer, got it. You're not interested. Out of curiosity, I'm going to stop. I say this. I say, I'm going to stop selling right now and just ask, can I ask why you're not interested? And I'm not trying to sell you. I just want to understand because I want to be able to use that information for my next presentation. Your thoughts, Ed?
And if you think about that, I think that's vital to say those words. I'm going to stop selling now.
Yep.
So you take all the pressure away, right? I mean, you just take it
you
all
can
away.
feel it leave the room.
Yeah,
I mean, you can feel it.
If you look at it, if they say they're not interested, the deal's already going south.
Yep.
What do you got to lose by flushing out what the real reason is? And then you can
Right.
can chase it down. But I think that's just such a great tactic. But you got to say that. Just simply say, I'm going to nonverbal the whole. I'm going to stop selling.
Yeah. And be that brave to do that. Again, don't be afraid to, just say, I'm going to stop selling. Again, you can do that. You've earned the right. You're in the room. Have that conversation. But back to the slide. Let's say that the majority will say, like Ed, I asked him this question. Ed's going to say, no, Victor, I'm interested. I just need to think about it. Now, at this point, again, you acknowledge the fact that he said, great. I'm glad you're interested.
Yeah.
Ed, I'll let you handle that one.
No, I just think that's key, right?
Right.
Where you confirm that they're interested, right?
Right.
I mean, you didn't get there, but let's go to the next one. Yeah.
Once you confirm, I'm interested, but I'm not sure. I'm glad you're interested. And that's my response is going to be, okay, Ed, I'm glad you're interested. It's been my experience that, again, when someone has to think about it, it's usually one of three things. So, I'll pause there.
Yeah, let's just stop there for a second. So Victor just said it's one of three things. How many of you sitting in those seats and on those cameras right now are curious as to what one of those three things are? Yeah, you got to be. If you're paying attention, you got to, like, what's he going to say, right? Think about saying that to the customer. You know, typically, Victor, when people say they're interested, it's interested but not sure. It's one of three things. They lean in, they get in, they re-engage.
You could actually see them mentally lean in.
Yeah. And they want to know. You want to know? Tell them.
Right. Now, what's interesting is this is called the organic effect. The organic effect means you open a loop, and they need to close that loop. Here's what I mean. As soon as I say there are three reasons why most people have to think about it, brain says, what are those three? I have to get to those three before your brain can actually close the loop. So the first one, if I can go back to the slide, would be this. It would be, well, the first one is, Ed, that maybe you don't see the product or service offering as a fit.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, Orca language. Sorry, it's going to happen once in a while.
Rollins
language. It's a solution, a fit.
Yeah.
Solution. We spin the solution, right?
Yeah, and then you'll say, no, it's not that, Victor. The solution is a fit.
It seems like it's going to work for us.
Well, if it is a fit, Ed, then it must be some feature. Maybe there's something we're not offering that you're looking for.
Yeah, and maybe it's something like, well, I was looking for some fly protection, or I was looking for some odor protection. I was looking for some other stuff that you didn't mention, right?
Right.
So that could happen. But ideally, you know, if it's going to get where it's going to go, they're going to say, no, it's got all the features, Victor.
Okay, then I would say, well, if it is a fit and it has all the features, then I have to assume at the last part that it's a financial issue. Is that it?
So just think about what you've done with the questioning, and I call it funneling. I don't know. You got a different term for it.
Yep.
You know, so you clear the deck first. You say interested or not. You know, typically when I hear that, they're either interested or not sure. You clear the deck. If they say they're not interested, you can take it out of your CRM. What's the term you use for stuff that sits in CRM that's never going to happen?
The forecastination.
Forecastination. You're telling your boss, you know, this stuff's going to close. You know, we're going to get this, right?
Yeah. By the way, you forecast with procrastination, it never gets done.
And it never gets done. I guarantee you, I have hundreds of proposals up in Youngstown, Ohio, that I still believe are going to close, and they don't stand that proverbial snowball's chance and you know where closing.
Yep.
But I'm telling my boss, oh man, it's good, Bob. It's good. We're going to get it. So keep going with that.
So in other words, what you're doing is you're mentally funneling down to a certain conversation. So for example, it's big up here to say not interested or interested but not sure. It's almost like saying, do you want to go left or right? Bam. Okay, you're going to go right. Now along this right path, is it a fit? Yes. Does it have the right features? Yes. Then it has to be financial. Now, that little pattern is very effective. A friend of mine, Hal Coleman, looked at this talk track years ago and says, you're missing something. To which I said, what am I missing? He said, Victor, it could be a fit. It could have the features. And guess what? I have the money, but I still won't buy. He said, the fourth F is fear. Something you said in the presentation or didn't say, something you showed or didn't show created an anxiety in the client or uncertainty that they didn't have the confidence to move forward. Now, I keep highlighting this study. They showed that on average, looking at different industries, you should write this down, this is important. Different industries, verticals, they looked at the average cross-section of close rates was 40%, right? Which means your loss rate is 60%. When they looked at that 60% that they lost, they said, where did that go? Only 20% went to your competitor. The other 40% went to no decision. In other words, the customer didn't have the confidence to pull the trigger, so to speak, maybe change vendors and incumbents. They didn't make a decision at all and just stayed with the status quo. What does that mean to you? If you think about this, your real competitor isn't your competitor because only 20% of the business is going that way. 40% is going to no decision because of something we didn't do right to give the customer the confidence to move forward. And that's where the fear part comes in. Ed, your thoughts?
Yeah, and I got a whole series on my YouTube channel about status quo and overcoming status quo. I have never believed for a split second that price is the objection, the number one objection. I don't think price should be an objection. I truly believe that the biggest objection we get, particularly as commercial sellers, is status quo. They already have somebody, they're happy. You haven't done enough to get them over the edge. And I think that's what this does, right?
Yes.
And when you think about this tether study, right? The game that these folks play, they work their tail off. First off, they get peanuts for leads. The phone doesn't ring, doesn't come in commercially. They're out there grinding to get places to go.
Right.
They work their tail off to get the appointment, secure the appointment. They get a chance to go in and kick the tires, and they go in and then they get that chance to present, and they go out and they deliver this killer presentation, right? If they're doing things right.
Right.
And then the customer still doesn't, in my mind, maybe not buy, but they don't switch.
Right.
And that's the game here. The game is a gap replacement business in commercial sales where you got to knock out a current vendor. If you're chasing shoe stores that don't have pest control, quit wasting your time. You're going to be selling pest control to folks that already have pest control with some level of satisfaction. Right. The only thing you got to do is you got to cover the gap on what you're going to charge them versus what they're paying, and you got to use tools to do that.
Right.
And that's the game here. But so oftentimes there are so many proposals. You think about a commercial salesperson that's out there getting after it creatively, doing the right things. Most of their proposals go unsold if they're doing it right.
Right.
You know, if they're 1 for 4 in a day or 1 for 3 in a day, you know, if it's a lead, they should be clocking those down. They should be closing 80% of those.
Right.
Forget about 40. They should be closing that. But these proposals just sit there, and there are reasons that they don't buy.
Right. I think Mark Naylor put it here. It's rarely the price.
Yeah, amen, baby.
Mark, you nailed it.
Amen.
Because when they looked at that 40% that didn't buy, 10% of that was based on price.
Yeah.
Which means price really isn't the issue. It's more than that. It's the fear.
Yeah. And it's that fear of making the wrong decision, right? You know, you go into a food plant and you're trying to pitch them pest control and they already have somebody. Their rep's on the line. Their reputation's on the line, right? You're trying to throw a gold medal up there or whatever you call your high-end product. That customer has somebody.
Right.
Maybe they're not tickled to death. Maybe they're not hugging the guy or the gal when they come in the door. But you didn't show enough to give them the courage
move over
to make that step forward. And
I agree.
That's what this game's about. And I think a lot of that, as we talk all the time, is showing what's going to happen, right? And we'll
transition. That's another
We'll get
episode.
into that another time. I think it's important that you share transition plans when you pitch this business
I agree.
make sure you give them that safety blanket. But what else you got on that?
I think we're just going to talk about what's in the Sales Velocity Academy. So this is the course. We go to the slide here. This is a course. The course is called Client Says. And in there, I talk about all these different objections that you're going to get. Now, listen carefully. There's a Japanese phrase called shu-ha-ri. Shu-ha-ri. And basically, it's a 3-part word that means the following. The shu part means that you copy, mimic the style. If it was martial arts, it would be the style. In this case, you copy the script. In other words, memorize the script. The ha part comes in when you start bending it to what you would say or how you would say it. The last part, the re part, R-I, basically you make it your own and it comes from you. Yeah. Any thoughts on that, Ed?
And I just want to talk for a second on being scripted, right? There's a whole bunch of malarkey going around out there in the sales world that you shouldn't be scripted. I would tell you 42 years of experience tells me you got to be scripted. It can't sound scripted. Now, you think about this sales this I want to think about it talk track, right? It may be uncomfortable. You may be looking at, man, I can't do that. That doesn't make sense. But what you got to do is you got to practice it. You got to get it right, because at the end of the day, Victor will spin that a little bit different than I will, and I've been spinning that for 8 years since he taught it to us, right? Mine's a little different than his, but again, understanding the concept, getting the bare bones in it.
Getting them to go down that decision-making
taking them down that funnel,
yes.
so it's comfortable, it's not attacking,
Right.
it's not invasive. They don't even know what happened to them
right.
when you get them down there. But again, it's the practice. Each one of you will do that a little bit different.
Right.
Each one of you closes business different. But my take on this all the time, and you know this, I'm a beer drinker, right? So if I woke you up at night after you had about 6 IPAs in you, and you're on kind of a bit of a bender, and you're half in the bag, and I wake you up in the middle of the night, and I said I want to think about it, could you spit this without any issues, without any staggering, right? I mean, just that's the practice.
I love it.
I
get what you're about. I'm messing with you because it's like 8 IPAs, but it's like you should be able to wake up out of a dead sleep. And I say, let me think about it, and you should have it on the ready. Because again, when a customer says that, let me think about it, and there's any hesitation or wobbliness, or you start getting jowly, not, once you have that, you can just feel that you're losing control of that conversation.
When you start fishing, they start wondering, does this guy or this gal know even what they're talking about?
Great
right?
line.
When you start trying to figure out what it is, instead of saying, if somebody says, I want to think about it, I know exactly what to say. I know what I'm going to say when you say that.
Yep.
Like if somebody says, you're more money than the other guys, I know what I'm going to say. It's practiced.
Exactly.
Or if I'm prospecting, I pick up the phone and I'm trying to get appointments, and they say I already have somebody. If you can't spit that out of your sleep, we're going to work through some of that stuff for you too. I know when somebody says, I've had the same guy or the same gal for the last 5 years, I know I'm getting an appointment. Because when they say that, I know exactly what to say.
Yep.
Because it's practice. Anything else in there?
No, Frank says the price didn't match the perceived value.
Yeah. All that stuff happens.
Yep.
But you funnel that down and you chase that down, right?
Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah. Anything else?
That's it.
Yeah, so I love the last piece, the fear. This is kind of the content we will bring to you. What I prefer, or what I would love to see happen, is that when you get this, that maybe you share a takeaway. I don't know how you guys communicate. I'm trying to figure out how you all communicate. Maybe you've got a group text, or you've got a group me, or you've got a Teams chat that you use together. But I think if you take your takeaway and post it in whatever social chat you're using, if you post that one there, then we've got this situation to where you'll then be sharing your experience. The takeaway that Victor might have had out of this broadcast would be different than mine, but if he posts his, oh yeah, I forgot about that one. So just think about trying to figure out how you can share that. Couple things going out of here. Again, this is going to be the content. I already said we're going to be here February 20th. We will share some housekeeping with you now. I would like throw that last slide up. So I had the opportunity, and leave that one up for a little bit if you would, Matt. I had the opportunity last week to go visit my first Rollins branch, right? Other than making some visits as I was an Orkin man. As a non-Orkin man, I walked into the Fox Pittsburgh branch up there in Pittsburgh, and Scott McEwen and Tony, the lead tech up there, made me certainly feel at home. And I figured out that everybody's everybody. Everybody's in this business together. But when I walked into that office, they had these 18 core values.
That's a lot.
18 of them, all up on a wall. I mean, the wall filled them up. They all had individual frames on them. And I know a lot of these brands have these core values out there. I know we shared Northwest ones on the Northwest broadcast we did last month. But this is the one that kind of whacked me right between the eyes, right? I looked up there, and I'm looking at them, and I took a picture of all of them, and I said, I'd like to share one on this broadcast. So I went out, and if you're from Fox, I tried to recreate that, so don't mind that. You'll find out that he and I are very deep into AI, like way deeper than probably anybody you've ever met. We're living it, and we know how to work it, and we will help you with that. But this one this is cool, right?
Yep.
Like no gossip. And I just think about that, man, what a simple,
I love this
two
phrase.
words.
I've never heard that.
And then the saying they have with it, we pass negatives up. So if you got some, I got to be careful when I talk, because I got a potty mouth. But if you've got
say it, Ed. Say it.
Quit whining, right, to your peers. If something's not right, take it up the ladder to your boss, right? But more importantly than that, what I see is the focus on all the positives from Fox, right? Share the positives. Share the positives. And we pass positives all around. Shout it from the rooftops.
Yep.
And let me just talk a little bit about the culture that I've been introduced to for the last couple weeks. Had a chance to spend a lot of time with Northwest. I was in their region manager meeting before this big shindig kicked off down here. I had the opportunity to sit in on something that was dramatic in my mind. Fox Pest Control does a monthly or a weekly broadcast live to all of their leaders where they talk about the things that happen good in their life for the first half hour. So all of the leaders, all the region managers, all the branch managers got to shout out, man, I'm appreciative of Victor. They did that for the first half hour. Folks, that's not a culture I grew up in. I grew up in the rough and tumble, go get your profit and behave and keep your nose clean. So I would suggest this to you, that the influence that the brands have had over Orkin and over Rollins completely has changed the culture for this company for the better. When you guys first started coming around, cut me, bleeding Orkin diamonds, right? When you first started coming around, oh, these people first cultures, these don't exist, these aren't real. Got exposed to Clark a little bit this week, and we all had this image that this can't be true. They can't be doing this, Victor.
These flaky foxes,
yeah,
who are
these
they?
flaky foxes, all this people first. But what I've come to find out, it's real, and I will promise you this, that it has influenced Rollins as a whole. And I will tell you, from a 42-year Orkin guy, this is healthy for us. And coming out of this meeting this week with these leaders, it's just so catchy. It's the Rollins way that we're moving forward with, and it's the Rollins way. We didn't have an Orkin meeting and invite the Rollins brands to it this week, right? It was a Rollins way meeting, and it was just super cool. So for that, I thank you brands out there for doing that. Again, getting out of here. There's some crazy weather going around. I don't know if you folks out west are going to hit it, but it's nuts. He's trying to get to Guatemala to do a presentation. They already canceled his flight. Yep. So there's some crazy stuff going on. My message to you would be safe and just take care of business out there. And I don't know if I have anything else, Victor.
Keep killing the numbers.
Other than keep killing it. You want to win $100, get on your top leaderboard, and we'll have a $100 Amazon gift card for you next week. Good luck on your Super Bowl pick. Hang in there. Appreciate you. We'll see you February 20th. Thank y'all.
Kill it.